Dr. Carver has done an amazing job of bringing his personality and his energy to the UT Martin campus and created an amazing culture of community there. So I get to introduce him, and then I'm going to let him take over. So Dr. Keith S. Carver Jr. serves as the 11th Chancellor at the University of Tennessee at Martin, a post that he's held for nearly 3 years since January of 2017. Prior to this, Carver served in various roles across the UT system, with time spent in the office of the UT president and the campuses in Knoxville, Martin, and Memphis. Carver holds 2 degrees from UTK, a PhD, which he got in 2009, and a master's, which he earned in 1995. He is in his 24th year of work with the University of Tennessee. Keith and his wife, Holly Ann, are the parents of Carson, a UTK student, Jack, or JT Thomas, who's going to be entering UTK in January, and Britton. All right, I'll let you take over.
All right, can you guys hear me? All right, thank you so much for the warm introduction. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. It's talking about brand and identity. Really love talking about UT Martin. So the opportunity to have sort of an honest discussion with you all today about what we've done here, I'm really excited about. So I want to tell our friends here, first of all, Doug, thank you guys for sponsoring today, and really appreciate you doing that. I know that Doug is involved in so many things, whether it be Westar, whether it be different philanthropic activities in Jackson, whether it's making those incredible blood lifeline commercials that he makes, that he does a great job, and he's a real public servant. So Doug, sure good to see your face today. What I hope we can do is just really have a real open and honest discussion. I'm going to talk to you about some pain points that we really experienced here at UT Martin. And so when we get to Q&A, if you've got specific questions about them, ask them. I will be completely honest about some of the difficulties that we had, and look forward to that. Well, I want to tell you just a little bit about myself in context of what I'm talking about today. I'm a native West Tennessean. I spent most of my career at another school that's also orange on the other end of the state, but been at UT for a long time, but had the opportunity to come back here in 2017. I've just finished my 4th year, start year 5 in January. And I say come back because I was actually born in Jackson. I grew up in Crockett County and in LA, Lower Alamo, and loved living there. And to be honest, when this opportunity came up, it was a no-brainer for us to apply and leave Knoxville for the chance to come back and be in our home area. My wife is from Lexington, Tennessee, and so we felt like an opportunity to come back to Martin was going to be a great opportunity for us. Just to take you through a little bit about the UT Martin story itself. You might not know this, but UT Martin has been educating people in Weakley County since 1900. We were here. We started out as the Hall Moody Institute. We taught a lot of preachers. We were affiliated with the Baptist Church, but the institution came upon hard times during the Depression, and so the University of Tennessee actually came in with some state funds with the people of the city of Martin and Weakley County, and actually purchased Hall Moody, and it became part of the University of Tennessee system. At that time, we were just a 2-year college, and our students would primarily come here, but then many would go on to Knoxville or to another 4-year institution. So really since the 1960s, 1967, in fact, we sort of achieved independent status and 4-year degree programs in almost all our areas. So when you talk about reaching an audience or a group, we're still a fairly young group with the majority of our students coming, our 4-year students coming from 1967 on. And let's back up to more recent times. and talk about some of the issues that we've had. And folks, we're not putting blame on any one person. These are just a confluence of issues that we found ourselves in at the university. First, we were in an enrollment crisis. We had about 6 consecutive years of declining enrollment and had lost about 20% of our head count over that time. And so we had a real enrollment crisis. The second thing that we had going against us is, and you all may remember it, we have an accrediting body called SACS, and it represents all the southern colleges in the southeastern region. And they had placed us on probation. And it wasn't because of our curricular programs or quality of programs or quality of the faculty or quality of instruction, but we weren't assessing things the right way. And we weren't reporting out our learning outcomes. And it was institutional effectiveness that we were called on. And folks, that's embarrassing when your university gets called out on that, because we knew we were better than that. Those two things, the decline in enrollment and the reputational crisis we had because of probation, also put a huge morale issue on campus. People were worried about their future. They were worried about their jobs, their offices, their livelihood, and just real uncertainty. And so we had internally, we had a morale issue. And then all of this, kind of this amalgam of all these factors that came together, really created some financial hardships. And were we going to be able to sustain our current programs? What were we going to have to do in the future to stabilize financially? So as I came in, and our group was working on this prior to me getting here in 2017, but when we hit here, when I came in January 2017, one of the things that our team as a whole worked on was, what is our brand? Who are we? And how can we gain some of our mojo back? And that's why we call this How Captain Got Its Groove Back, because this is a jewel. And when you think about UT Martin and think about who we are, we wanted to make sure we were adequately telling our story. And two of the things that I think in the past we had thought about were, well, we're too rural and we're too small. Well, let's flip that narrative and let's start talking about UT Martin being the smallest public institution in the state of Tennessee. And let's use that as a selling point. That's a good thing. There's a lot of institutions in the 10,000 club, but we're able to provide a small, intimate experience for students with a public college or private school experience with a public school price tag. And so let's start talking about the value and quality narrative. And then on the destination piece, instead of, wow, what's there to do in Martin, let's start talking about what opportunities are available in Martin. And let's talk about the small town experience and an educational experience in a safe, nurturing environment. And let's start telling that story, and tell the story we did. So How Captain Got Its Groove Back, and what we've been doing over the last several years, really boils down to 3 things: showing up and showing out, taking risk, and then creating a buzz. And there's inherent danger in all these things, but I'll go through and we'll talk about some of the risk and rewards that we've had through each of the themes. Showing up and showing out. Well, the first thing we thought we needed to do is to get out there and meet our audience. Who is the audience for University of Tennessee at Martin? Well, for me, and for those of us on campus, it's really West Tennessee. We are a regional public undergraduate teaching institution. So we need to get out and we need to get in those communities and find out what people thought about us. Now, folks, you can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars and get consultants to come in and tell you what's your brand and or how strong your brand is or what people think about you. Well, we decided to get out. So in our first 3 months, my first 3 months on the job, and you see Rotary Club of Jackson, that was one of the first events I did when I came into this role. Is we got out and we met with civic leaders, we met with elected officials, we met with high school principals, we met with alumni. We went everywhere that would let us in, and we listened. I talked a little bit about my strategic academic vision, but mainly what we did is we listened. What were people saying about UT Martin, and what were we hearing a lot about? We were hearing a lot about accreditation, reputational things. And so if you can get out and meet your audience and face to face figure out what folks think about you, what are your good points, what are the points you need to bolster, that is just such rich information. And again, you can pay for that, but if you have an opportunity to engage your audience on an intimate level, they're going to be honest with you and tell you exactly what you think. The next piece, go to your audience. Don't make them come to you. We started taking the Chancellor out to high schools. We had this incredible educational product, but no one really knew about it. So we looked at about 21 counties and we said, let's go to these high schools. Let's tell the students there. Let's see if the guidance counselors will let us in, if the superintendents and principals will let this bald bow tie guy come in and engage their sophomores and juniors and seniors. And they did. And so that's something that we did that first quarter, but it was so successful that we've kept doing it. Guys, I just got back from a high school today before coming to talk to you now. It's great to get students on campus for a tour, and that's one of the best ways. But if you can go to where the students, your audience is seated, where they're learning, where they're eating, and be with them and bring your organization with them, that really paid dividends. And we just did it because we thought we need to reclaim our market. We've lost West Tennessee, University of Memphis, MTSU, Knoxville, Murray, Austin P. There were a lot of options. And so students at schools we'd taken for granted, we needed to get back in. And so that's what we did. And we took the campus to them and spent time and really nurtured those relationships. We treated those guidance counselors and principals like donors. Those folks were so helpful in getting us in front of the students so we could talk to them and make that pitch. And so rather than worry about getting them to campus, let's take campus to them. And it's something we've continued to do. Internal audience. Your brand starts from within. Martin is such a great place, but I'll be honest, one of the things I observed, and again, this is no one person's fault, but when you go through an enrollment decline, when you have financial issues, when you have this black cloud of accreditation and reputational damage over your head, there are morale issues. And one of the things that I quickly thought we needed to do, and our university relations and our development team and alumni team helped me do, is we need to show our own employees. We have 900 employees here who are the great ambassadors for our brand. We had to show them that, hey, things are going to be okay, and let's do some things internally to improve morale. Now, everybody loves for you to go around and give Christmas bonuses, right? But we needed to assure our own folks that this is a good place to work. We're going to be okay. We're going to get students back here. We're going to work out of this accreditation piece. And so through things as informal as coffee breaks and sausage and biscuits, a little breakfast with people, to doing town hall meetings, to having some open office hours, to doing things where when you're doing videos and you're talking about your educational programs, leak those out internally and let folks see or get a preview of what you're going to push forward with this public face. And so if you start loving on your people inside and they have buy-in, I've got sort of one rule that I have for all our employees, in that I think everybody has a first name. On this campus, I go by Keith, and I really, now some people, they don't do that. They insist on calling me Chancellor Carver or Doc or whatever, but I want to be known as Keith. But I want to know everyone's first name, and I make it I give it my best shot to know everyone's first name. And if you know someone's first name, then you can get to know their hopes, you can get to know their dreams, you can get to know their fears. But the more you can know, but it all starts with a name, and respect is something that all people deserve. And if you're showing your coworkers and your employees respect, and you're taking time to get to know them, it's going to really improve morale. And some of the greatest things I learn, or aha moments I have in this organization, come from folks who are working third shift here, but they'll share things with me, and feel comfortable bringing things forward to me. And I'm real excited about that. So the care and feeding of our reputation really starts with our own internal audiences. Finally, on this point is a point about good customer service. We are small, we are remote. So when we get people to campus for a tour, when others come, when Mandy and Doug come here for a West Star presentation, when we're hosting a gubernatorial debate during the primaries, we need to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. What we knew is if people were taking time to come to Martin, that we needed to make it memorable. And so we put so much emphasis on being early, making sure offices are open, making sure materials are out. But whatever we need to do to the customer that walks in off the street, if someone walked in downstairs today and needed a tour, making sure we've got somebody ready to take that unannounced drop-in visitor on a tour, making sure we've got faculty on standby to meet with a prospective parent or prospective donor to talk about a program. But if we don't have our act together, and coming in, hey, we may not see them again if we don't make a great impression. I do a lot of secret shopping. I've got a daughter that's a senior in college. I've got a son that's about to go to college. And so when we do college visits, I drop in on offices. I see how they respond. I see how they treat people. And we have secret shoppers all over our campus who do the same type thing. So making sure that your first impression is a really good one. We decided we needed to take some risk. We needed to change our message, and we went with a marketing and branding campaign that was really different. We did some things like billboards, and who puts billboards on the edge of your market? But we went all in, and we said, you know what? We're getting about 750 applications a year out of Shelby County. What could we do to create some new messaging in and around Shelby County? We know there's more students there. We know we've got lots of alumni there. What can we do? So we put billboards up on I-240, and we put them downtown, and we made a concerted effort to make sure that our message was a clear message, but that we were really doubling down on areas where we could grow. And so identifying those areas where you can grow and really doubling down your presence. So we went from about 700 to 750 applications from Shelby County in a year to now almost 1,500. And beyond that, our alumni love the message. They love seeing students on billboards. We try to use local students. The billboards you see in Jackson, Madison County, they're your students. And so trying to create visually something very appealing, something very simple, but with a profound message. So really look at your messaging and what are you saying in your messaging, and that visual drive-by or that commercial on WBBJ or that internet buy or something you're putting out on Pandora. What's it saying, and making sure that you're changing the message, because people get tired, they get fatigued. Make people laugh. One of the things that we talked about here is, hey, if you've got 7,000 students and the majority of those are between 18 and 22, that's a great crowd. And while college is very serious business and we are trying our hardest to graduate our students in 4 years, because as moms and dads, you know, you don't want to pay tuition beyond that. But one of the things we thought we needed to do is really put some personality to campus. And so we decided, hey, this target market we have, they like to have fun. So let's engage them and make sure that what we're doing is a serious business, but let's also talk about ways that we have fun. And so when we would brand things with photographs, we showed students in their natural habitat. What are students doing on campus? Well, they're laughing. And so let's use laughter, let's use happiness as a way to open up our campus and say, you know what, if I go to Martin, those people really look like they're having fun. And I think that's who we are. And I think that's who all colleges are. And I know that Logan and Dub are doing that right there in Jackson, and Dr. Rudd and Miles are doing that at Lambeth. But these are fun places to be, and they attract high energy people. So let's show that laughing face and not be afraid to open that up and show that warmth. And so that laughter elicits a warm response. Don't be afraid to be first. I would encourage you. I'll tell you, when and it was not my idea. I didn't think this up, but when they said, you know, Chancellor, let's go into high schools. And the first high school I went into was Riverside High School over in Decatur County. And I was scared to death. What was I going to say to this group of high school juniors and seniors and some sophomores? Well, I realized it was fun, and they viewed it as a treat because no one was really doing that. And I got some pushback from there's a little bit of a pecking order among presidents and chancellors, and they would rib me. I mean, across the state, across the region, people would say, why are you going into high schools? Well, we found out we were taking the college. We need to win this market back. We were engaging with students in their markets, and it was helping. It was working. It wasn't me, but it was the plan to get out. But people weren't really doing that, and now a lot of folks are doing that, and they're making these high school visits. And but I think the market is so saturated with good opportunities for our product, which is higher education. You have to do that, and so we're doing that first. Another thing that I do that our team helps me with is I do a lot of personalized messaging. If there's a high ability student we're trying to recruit, I'll get on Instagram, I'll shoot a 15-second video from my office and send it to them. Now, is that the best use of the chancellor's time? Well, guys, it takes about 8 minutes to do dozens of those a week, and I do them when I'm walking across campus. I do them when I'm waiting on a meeting. But you've got to do things that are out there that other people aren't willing to do. So if you have an idea, no one else is doing it, try it, because it really might be rewarding. Evolving brand identity. So we're the Skyhawks. And for years, we had the same mascot. As a matter of fact, we'd been using the same logo for 25 years. So we thought late last year, we started this process where we wouldn't take away Captain. We love Captain, but it was a front-facing sort of static logo that a lot of people love, and it looks good on things. But we thought about, let's evolve this a bit, and let's bring in some newer marks. And there were a lot of several people, the vocal minority said, we don't want any change at all. We want the old logo. And so we've kept the old logo. The old logo is still there, and it's a great classic, very clean logo. But we brought in 2 new marks, and you're looking at those today, but they show some movement. They show some depth, and you've got the one that's sort of the headshot of Captain, and then we've got the other that's more of a attack hawk and shows more action. But we thought, let's put these new marks out there, and they've been really successful, and not just in interest in apparel and that sort of thing, but they really do create some new energy. And when you're working with, what's our audience want? They want something new, something exciting. And so our students and young alumni got really involved in the brand identity. We polled them. We asked them which marks they liked. So our students and alumni had a part of the process and had a part in picking which logos they liked out of this menu that we provide them. But by evolving this, it gave us, some free advertisement and free publicity. But we had to step out there and do that. Creating a buzz. So one of the ways we thought is, what's our product? Well, our product is education, and our product is this course delivery we offer. Come here, and in addition for your tuition, we'll help you matriculate through and graduate. But we really thought, what's a way to generate some interest in what this process and some build up. And so we started going really behind the scenes. And even though for a college, mailing out of acceptance packets is just something that we do, and it's really ordinary, but let's show parents and let's show students, let's show our customer base what goes on in this. And so by doing this in August of last year, this is an annual thing that we do, but it created a little bit of buzz. Students would call in and say, hey, I've got the grades. I haven't gotten my acceptance package, but I saw on Instagram, I saw on Twitter that they've gone out. And so it created some anticipation and some excitements, and putting in there facts and figures. 133 students got admitted in this first round. Be on watch and show. We just decided things that we might consider boring and mundane in your organizations, show a little bit behind the scenes and create some interest in how the sausage is made. Be authentic. Folks, I've been in quarantine twice, and this fall, fortunately, have not had COVID, but in this process, I had lots of time at home, and so I had been giving out instructions all fall on what to do and what to do and the protocols for quarantine and that sort of thing. So about every other day, I would shoot out some things that showed, the Chancellor's isolated. The Chancellor is a little down. The Chancellor is not seeing his family. Things that just really let students know, I'm experiencing what you are. And I think that really helped. And it created a lot of opportunity to interact with students that said, oh, when I was in quarantine, I started this new series on Netflix. What are you watching on Netflix? And so it was some really interesting dialogue with our consumer, which I really like. By the way, this is Sky. This is our 11-year-old rescue pup. And that's all. I realized, what does your dog do all day? Well, that's what my dog does all day, is lie there. So be edgy, okay? Take a little risk. I was late last month, was hanging a new cabinet in the kitchen, in the bathroom, and was, instead of getting a stepladder, I stepped up on the toilet seat. It broke, slipped off. Fortunately, that wall is not very wide. I caught myself, but I thought, how stupid am I for doing this? And I thought, I wonder if other people have done that. And so I just toss that out there, and am not afraid. Self-deprecation is one of my strengths, and I screw up a lot, and so I'm not afraid to show that weakness. Now, I will tell you, before I do something like this, I do draft it, send it to my creative team, and I'll say yes or no, and they'll turn back yes or no. But this got a lot of play from our students, from parents. I've done that before. Chancellor, did you get wet? All these great comments came back, but just being authentic and not being afraid to be out there on the edge. And finally, create some value. And especially in 2020, we knew that counseling and mental health was going to be a big issue. And so making sure in your messaging, whether it's don't burn out, whether it's, you know what, we can accomplish more with honey than vinegar, put out some content towards your audiences that's about self-care and just, hey, we're thinking about you. We love you. These are things we're struggling with, and we know that you're struggling with too. So making sure that even though these things really don't have much to do with our core business, it's important messaging. And trigger emotion. And I think the biggest thing is capturing moments within your organizations that are sad. The top picture you'll see with the candles, that was a candlelight vigil for a student that had died. We used other images that were about homecoming or about athletic events or international events we celebrated. But just letting folks know that life happens here at UT Martin. We've got great photographers here that capture that, but share those smiles, share that hurt, share that concern, and just don't be afraid to put that out there. Folks, I will stop now. I'm happy to answer any questions. I want to tell you that we've got a great team of professionals at UT Martin, and I feel like my job as chancellor is not to screw up their plans. And so we have had a ton of help to get us back into our market share and to help us crawl out of some of the holes we have. And I just feel very blessed to be here and work with a group of talented folks. We've got a lot of work left to do, but I sure like where we're headed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carver. I know we'd all be clapping for you if we were actually in person, so imagine some claps.
All right, no.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing hearing what you've talked about and really the transition that your campus has gone through in such a short amount of time. I know right now, for so many businesses, you know, they're in a place where they're trying to think about pivots and changes and things that they need to make. And you and your team have done an amazing job transforming and creating that culture there. So thank you for sharing with us about it. We do have some questions from the group. So one question. What methods do you recommend being effective to get honest feedback from your internal audience, particularly in a smaller setting or one where someone might be afraid that their honesty could cause them to be retaliated against later? How do you build that trust?
You know, it's a fantastic question. And I see a couple of our employees on here, and they can chime in if they would like, Bud in Virginia. But one of the things that I value, and I came in on the first day talking about, is having truth tellers. And I don't, there's few things that are pet peeves, but one, I've got three, but one is, you know, I want people to tell me the truth. And even though if it's unpopular, they think it's going to hurt my feelings, they think it's going to be upsetting, you know, I want to know about that. And so one of the things that I did when I came in that I wanted to try was I didn't know this team very well. They didn't know what it was going to be like working for me. So I shared some concern. I shared some uneasiness. I shared some, if there were projects we were working on that I really didn't know the answer to yet, I tried to build, to be open and honest, to say, you know what, I think this is where we need to go, but I'm not sure. What do you think? And I tried to do that on some high level things. And some of it was crisis communications. We had something that came up and I needed to pull the group together. And others were sort of long-term strategic planning type things, but being comfortable enough to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to this. I need your help on this high level thing to build some trust, to show others that I was willing to listen and create some buy-in that way. I think one of the biggest things that I do is make sure that I show up. And if we have a reception, if we have something where someone's retiring, if we have employee of the month celebration somewhere, which we do with our maintenance team, is going over and being present for that. And by being present, you breed some familiarity. Well, the chancellor's here. He was here last month. I've got a burning question I'm going to ask him before he leaves. And I have a lot of conversations out in the parking lot just because I'm there and present, and the repeated presence brings some comfort, and people will approach you. The biggest thing is if you tell somebody you're going to do something, making sure you do it. And if there's a concern or a complaint, not letting that fester, but think about what can we do to make this better as an organization.
Awesome. Thank you for that response. Let's see. I think there's only one other question. So if any of you are out there in the audience and holding questions back, that's not the time to do that. Go ahead and type them in the chat. Okay. Last question that I'm seeing. What best practices do you have for managing remote employees, staying connected, keeping them encouraged, and feeling connected to the main campus?
That's been such a challenge, especially with our full and part-time employment with 900 employees, but we have tried to reduce the footprint here in March, but really more so May, June, and then we've gone back to less people on campus since Thanksgiving. The hardest part is really explaining what does telework mean, and what are the expectations. And Bud Grimes and our university relations team really helped me with some messaging and some pretty clear guidelines on this is what teleworking means. And these are the things that you as supervisors need to work out with your employees. And our expectation was again, we find gaps in the armor every day, but if a student walks to the bursar's office off the street during the middle of a pandemic, is somebody going to be there to answer their question? If someone goes into the library, basic needs, is there going to be a human being or a voice on the phone on that first ring that picks up and is able to take care of their needs? And so really we looked at, how can we keep the campus safe? And so we obviously kept our campus safety here. How can we keep it clean and healthy? We kept our maintenance and cleaning staffs here. But then beyond that, once you got back the basic human needs of safety, what do we need to do on a minimal face-to-face level to make sure our students are supported and our faculty are supported and our staff are supported? And then backfill, we went to rotation systems where someone may work on this role on Monday, but someone else does it on Tuesday, and they alternate days. But just trying to create clear work plans for what the expectations were. And then you learn pretty quick if work's not getting done, where there's a breakdown in communication. So I think I've become the CRO, the Chief Repetition Officer, because we'll communicate that telework plan over and over and over. But for some people, it's like the first time they've seen it, even though you've communicated it often. But I think in times of uncertainty, you need reputation, clear communication, but also repetition to keep getting out here. Here's how you telework. Here's your schedule. Here's what you do.
Yes, I see that for sure. Okay, we have 2 more questions that have come in. So one is, you talked about improving morale at UTM with COVID. Morale is down for a lot of companies. So what are some ways that we can help our employees and improve morale?
This was not my suggestion at all. This was my team asked me to do this. But one of the things we realize is, information's at a premium, communication's at a premium. And so twice a week, our team would have me do town halls. And I would go in, I would do 2 a week. I would do one for faculty and staff. Then I would do another one for students and parents. And people could submit questions. And when they submitted questions, they could make it anonymous. They didn't have to self-report who they were, but we answered them all. And over the course, so we did 30. We did 30 between August and the 1st of December. And I think that helped because people they may have not been getting answers from their own offices. They wanted to know what was coming. They had fear and dread, or they felt isolated because they're teleworking. But once a week, they could sort of tune in and have all their their questions answered. And I think that really helped. I think also the second part of that is continuing the culture through traditions. Even though we're not having our campus-wide holiday breakfast, yesterday we did it virtually. So everybody drove by the student union. They picked up their country ham and biscuit and orange juice and muffin and fruit, and then went back home or went to their offices. And they did that between 7:30 and 8. And then at 9 o'clock, we logged on, we all enjoyed breakfast together, and we had a program virtually. So trying to find ways to continue those traditions, those fabrics of your organizational culture that you can still celebrate in new ways. And I think the biggest thing is just the informal, how we encourage each other's staff and just check in on each other and check in on our employees. And I tell you, about twice a week, somebody from our cabinet would send me a text message and said, "You seem a little irritable today. You okay? You're not yourself. What's going on?" I've got somebody on our cabinet that about every other week says, "What's something I can take off your desk? How's Holly Ann? How are your kids?" And so that causes me to do that for others on our team and do them. I've got somebody on our team that we meet virtually on occasion, and we just pray. And so I think just figuring out little things that we as leaders in our organizations can do one-on-one to improve morale, whether that's a text message, whether that's a phone call or an email or just a Zoom check-in, I think can be a really big help. I know it helps me when I'm feeling the weight of the world, and I know you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders too.
Yeah, for sure. It's so helpful to be able to know each other well enough to ask, to feel like you can do that. All right. You talked a lot about social media. So what's your general policy for when there might be negative feedback? Do you respond at all? Do you do it publicly, privately? Do you delete it?
Yeah, we don't delete it. If we had an incident this past fall where a group of students released a racially charged video, and when we made some commentary on that, and we made several comments on that, and quickly we did a video in response. I put out some information to all students. I communicated with our alumni. When you do that, it brings out sort of some people that are well-intended and have really things to say that can be constructive or can help continue the narrative and make things better. And then you have trolls, I hate to say it, who will attack your business, and they might be affiliated with your organization at all. And what we do when we have those social media platforms and people put things out there, we allow them to stay. And we'll look at those individually though and think, who is this? Is it an alum? Is it a parent? Let's call them. Let's respond in a way that shows, no, we've heard you. But on Twitter, if you get some nasty comment back and you go look at the profile, and they have one follower and a big blue egg on their profile, that's probably not somebody you can respond to. But you'll never win the social media war. So what we've elected to do here is respond to what we need to publicly, but when people have individual comments and questions, follow up with them individually. And a lot of times when you'll call those folks, it's a misunderstanding, or you reach out and say, "Hey, let's talk more about it." And they're like, "Oh, I really don't want to talk about it." So, but we do take those seriously, but we will not continue to post and counter post, because it'll never stop and you'll never win that.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing a bit about that. I know those are always so tricky to deal with. So it's good to hear how a large organization is doing that well. I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Carver, for being here with us today. This was amazing. Just so many good little tidbits. I think, especially with your organization just being just kind of like a really big business in some ways. And so I think it's, we can all learn from those things and the ways that you guys have changed and pivoted, and the way that you're, staying so close as a team and working with your students so well. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all of you that have tuned in to Spark. It has been a minute since we did one of these. Honestly, we got caught up doing Spark plugs, which are our Facebook Live versions of kind of up to the minute things, which we'll be doing probably again, hopefully, to give details about a new stimulus package at some point. But we do have another Spark scheduled for January. So January 11th, we're going to talk about what makes family businesses last. And we've got a great panel. We're really excited about that event. So we hope that you'll join us for that. This has been recorded. So if you knew someone, like if you thought this was beneficial and you want to share it with someone, it will be shared on the Chamber's social media. It will be on their YouTube. And then I think they're going to be adding links to their website as well. So thank you again to everyone for joining us today. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day.